Dylan Edwards, 4-time premiership winner with the Panthers. Appreciate you coming on the program. Welcome again to Breakfast with Vossy and Brandy.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
We're putting you under enormous pressure first up. We want you to become Dr. Dylan Edwards, because we're doing daily. In fact, we'll give you your own intro because you are going to tell us all about Nathan Cleary's injury. Here's the intro.
On a crisis so serious it has its own name and theme music.
Groin Watch.
All right, Dylan, there we have it, the intro. Nathan's groin. What can you tell us about Nathan Cleary's groin injury?
Yeah, honestly, I think he's tracking all right. I think he battled through it early. Obviously, he played Origin 2 with it when it's probably at its peak, when it's pretty fresh. But, the physio staff been really good back at Queensland at Penrith and here in New South Wales as well. So they're getting him right, and he looks pretty good.
Dylan, this is the big question, though, mate. Do you think he'll goal kick next Wednesday night?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure. I think it's a bit early to tell. I don't think he's had a shot yet, but might leave that for later in the week. But it's a bit early to tell. We got some pretty good goal kickers in our team too. If he doesn't need to,
you're pretty handy as well. Have you seen him take a shot? Because you're there at the coalface. Is he taking a sneaky shot just to see how
even
he's
one
going?
in front, just a little one, just a little 10-metre kick.
Something, Dylan.
I think he'd be itching to, but I don't think he has yet.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Dylan, are you practicing your goal kicking at training?
No, I'm not. I think there's a couple ahead of me in this camp here. I think we got some pretty good ones in Laurie and Latrell there, waiting in the wings. So.
Okay, let's keep probing. Brian To'o. Watching him against the Dogs, I thought, oh wow, he's at long odds. He looked like he was in a fair bit of pain, and then one time there he played the ball and he almost buckled. And watching him, thinking, well, no chance. But apparently Biz is all right.
Busy. I think Biz better than most. Brandy. He's pretty tough, and it'd take a lot for him to miss something like this. But I think he's all right. I think they wouldn't play him if he wasn't ready and couldn't do the job. So he'll be monitored throughout training, throughout the whole week, I think, and be pretty steady with him. But in terms of his injury, I think he'll be good to go.
All right, probe over in terms of the medical. Now, I want to ask you a question because last year you got to prepare for a decider as well. You got the same deal this year, but it's two different coaches. To an outsider looking in, would they recognise things are greatly different between what you had previously with Michael Maguire and how Laurie Daley manages things this year?
In terms of how we prepare and get ready for the game, not really. I think messaging is pretty similar, both camps as well. They give the message differently, but in terms of the actual message itself, it's pretty similar. So from an outsider looking in, it'd be probably pretty similar, I'd imagine.
And how is Lura? Because Vossy asked me this morning, he said, would the cold up there in Lura be affecting players, and, would that make it tougher, especially players that are injured? How's prep been? It is, 7 degrees at the moment in Lura? Pretty chilly.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here, actually. The sun's out, sun's shining. Yeah. So that won't be too much of a drama for us up here.
Not getting around the fireplace at night? Is it sort of get a little romantic there with the boys? It's a different
we get around
cognac?
We get around each other. No cognac, but we get around.
Dylan, look, I know it all sound a bit odd, but you are now experienced when it comes to big matches like few others. I mean, when you talk about grand final success, big crowds, big stage, do you still, is it just another game? Is it possible to get in that mindset? And we've heard about you and Nathan doing a bit of meditation or whatever you go down. But can you get to the stage where you approach it and get to that zen? It's just another game.
No, I don't think so. Not for me, anyways. I think you definitely recognise how much of an occasion these sort of games are, and you always get up for them. So I get nervous enough for club footy, let alone a game like this. So you definitely realise what the occasion's like. Can't try to keep that out of your mind as best you can, but it's definitely hard.
And what about the new players in the Queensland side? The Hammer at fullback and Gemet Shibasaki will make his debut. What sort of intel do you do on that? And does it change because they've picked a rookie in the centres and Hamaso's got his own personal way of playing at the back, different to what they've had in Kale and Ponga? Yeah,
I don't think so, Brandy. I think they've obviously picked those guys because they're they're quality players in their own right. So our game plan doesn't really change because of positional change in the opposition and a different personnel. We'll stick to what we think works and what we're going to try and do throughout the game. So we're not going to worry too much about the personnel that Queensland have picked.
All right. Should we explore a little more the mind thing? It made the papers last week or the week before around Nathan, yourself, visualisation. Dylan, how long have you been part of that sort of that part of your preparation?
Yeah, quite a few years now. I think when I went through a bit of a form slump in 2019, I think it was. Yeah, then I sort of started to. Someone tipped me into that about that sort of mental side of the game and trying to do sort of like mental reps in that area, and I found it really helped me, and I've stuck with it ever since.
Yeah, well, so how much time? Or it's not a set time. It's just get you to a place, and or do you do it daily? Do you like in the days leading up to game? What's the schedule?
Yeah, try and do it daily. I'm not so much visualization all the time daily, but definitely some sort of meditation if I can. Yeah, it doesn't have to be very long for me either.
No.
Just a couple of minutes. Yeah, and
cool.
Try and dabble in that.
Okay. I know you've played for Australia before, but is there any players in this New South Wales lineup? And of course, you started your Origin career last year. Is there any players in the New South Wales team that you hadn't played with before? Had you played with Latrell?
Other than last year, yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Latrell played game 2, didn't he? Yes.
Game 2 last year, yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to
Anyone else new in the team that you hadn't played with? I think everyone's covered. I was just thinking Latrell, but of course he played game 2 last year. But rep footy's a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome to get in the rub shoulders with guys you would never ever probably play with alongside in your career unless you played in these sort of games. So it's cool to see the different personalities and get to know them on a deeper level.
All right, and when we're just talking rep football, back in the day, you'd play club football, then you'd play state football, and out of that, we'd pick an Australian side. Brandy, you used to have mid-year tours, but the Australian representation isn't until the end of the year, Dylan. Is it on your radar big time, the fact that this Kangaroos series this year, I know as a fan it is, I'm that pumped for it, Wembley, 2 sold-out stadiums for Test 2 and 3. Is it big on your radar to make that end-of-season tour?
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. I'd love to be a part of that tour. I think, it'd be something special, a special tour, just be a part of the Ashes. I know it hasn't happened for quite a while, and I imagine there'd be a bit of hype over in the UK as well about it. So, I'd really look forward to that. But in saying that, there's a lot of work to be done between now and when that comes along.
Yeah, well, I tend, you don't have to answer or respond to this. I think if you put in man of the match performance next Wednesday, it makes it impossible for whoever the Australian coach is to not reward the format of Origin. I know there's a lot of NRL between when the team's picked, but if you're man of the match in an Origin decider, then I can't argue with the bloke getting the number 1 jersey for Australia. Brandy, would you agree with that?
Of course not. No, of course I would. No argument here.
All righty. Dylan, we really appreciate you coming on the program. Continue to enjoy Mountains life and SEN coverage of Origin next week. We've got our Maroons call. Who's listening to that? The neutral call, the Blues call. Let's hope we're calling a try-double to Dylan Edwards and a New South Wales victory.
Right, thank you, fellas. You have a great day.
You know, Michael, doctors say a proper breakfast includes eggs, bacon and breakfast with Vossy and Brandy. So get your daily fix through our socials and listen live on SEN Radio.